Hello, Phil here from Authentic Vocal and welcome to another video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I hope you guys appreciate the fully authentic vocals that are featured in this video and that you enjoy the analysis as well. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at Oasis. And I know that things exploded a few months ago on YouTube with people talking about Oasis and looking at different performances, all that kind of stuff. But I tend to wait until I get around to things and make sure that I've got data that we can look at in detail and cross-reference. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing tonight, because I have been asked to look at their live performances, and we're going to be taking a look at one song, Acquiesce, and it's going to be the same performance of it twice from crowd shot footage and once from what looks like officially shot video and official audio. So as always, the links to the original videos are in the description below in case you want to cross-reference anything. And like I said, a lot of requests for this, and generally the requests were asking three things really. I mean, the first one was if Oasis were actually performing live, singing live. I wouldn't expect them not to be, but we'll find out tonight. Secondly, whether they're using auto-tune live to make their vocals sound more accurate than they are, or lastly, whether the footage is being edited, corrected, pitch corrected, so that it sounds better when people watch it back as to when people were actually listening to it in the venue. So all of the footage we're going to be taking a look at was recorded on the 4th of July 2025. There's crowd shot footage 1, crowd shot footage 2, and the what looks like officially shot footage, even though it hasn't been uploaded to the official Oasis channel, at least not that I know of, but it's got the performance all professionally filmed, and yeah, it is definitely not crowd shot footage. But just in case you don't believe me that this is all at the same time, I can play all three audio files at the same time. And it's going to match up perfectly in terms of the timing, because it all happened at the same time. Anyway, we will jump into it, and what I'm going to do is start with crowd shot footage number 1 and have a listen to this. And I mean, there's so much to point out already, because I mean, I was a teenager in the 1990s, so it means that I know the Oasis sound very well, and I know their songs very well. Not only from that, but then from teaching guitar for so long, for almost 20 years, you cover a lot of Oasis songs. People want to learn to play them on the guitar. But anyway, what we've got here is Liam's vocal being really accurate in this opening phrase, certainly. And I would say that maybe 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, if Liam was performing live, his voice probably wouldn't be this accurate, or wasn't this accurate. And I'm not saying that this is auto-tune live or anything like that. I think this is genuinely his live vocal that he's just being really accurate with, that he might have just, I don't know, been a little bit more focused with his training and practicing and making sure he can, hold pitch. It might also be the case that he's got his foldback set up correctly, his in-ear monitors going so that he can hear everything clearly. But let's listen to this again. So here we've got a really accurate section here, pretty much bang on the D4, bang on the D4. We come up a little bit sharp and we come back down to pretty much bang on the D4. But down here, the C4 is pretty much on the line, maybe a little bit sharp of it. But then we come back a little further and we now go a little bit flat. And then here we do go flat of the C4. And here we're now between notes. So I think, Liam has that kind of voice where pitch is everything. So because he's not applying a wide vibrato, he's got to hit these notes between the eyes, which is, you know, what he used to do and how he sings. So I'm not surprised really to see this. I think this is actually better than kind of 5 or 10 years ago. But then again, I'm not surprised to see the resets, because I think, well, this does sound like a live vocal. Something to mention, of course, is the range that we've got going on here, or at least the pitch that Liam is hitting, because it's not as if we're, you know, belting at the top end of the male tenor range. We've got notes, as we can see on screen, around what, D4 here. So with the vocal, in terms of the pitch, nah, that's where we are. Or placing it more in chest voice, nah. And just thinking about it, when I do that, I've naturally applied more compression to the sound, because that's something that Liam has always sounded like he's had, where he's kind of pushing his voice almost against itself. So there's loads of resistance to his vocal sound, or at least that's how it comes across. So that rather than having and having that kind of clean sound, he's and applying that kind of pressure. At least that's what it sounds like. But here he's pairing that with, you know, great pitch accuracy. We'll let this play on a little bit, pick it up where we left off. So now we've got Noel's vocal coming in, and you can see how, I mean, absolutely nailed. And this is crowd shot footage. Absolutely nailed the A4, absolutely nailed the G4. But before that, we were sharp here. Really accurate again with this E4. A little bit flat here, a little bit sharp here, going a little bit sharp. But it's interesting as well that they've always had this difference in tone. But here, Noel is hitting notes that, you know, are up there in the male tenor range. So now he's up at this G4, and you can hear he's kind of up in that kind of place, really clean now, rather than having too much of a compressed sound and, you know, that raspy sound that Noel has so much of. But again, even though, yeah, you know, slightly flat here, slightly flat here, slightly sharp here, slightly sharp here, but I say that when you're listening to it, you can hear how accurate this is. And this, in my opinion, is not auto-tune, because auto-tune has got a very particular sound to it. You can hear it working while it's processing the notes and while it's moving the notes in a split second. But this isn't that. And yeah, crowd shot footage. This is definitely a live vocal for me that's unedited. I mean, and again here, yeah, pretty much, you know, spot on the A4 and the G4. Oh, hang on, right. So at the end here, we did have a little tail off. Now, here we go. So you'll always get the reset when it's a totally live vocal. This has just gone slightly flatter the G4, and I think if auto-tune were being used, you wouldn't set the differential to be this far off so that it is noticeably flat to the ear. You'd kind of, you know, allow it a little bit sharp, a little bit flat, but not this flat. So for me, again, that's just a natural vocal and a natural reset. And yeah, and between notes here, and he was ever so slightly sharp here. Sharp here again. Oh, and then between notes here. So yeah, for my money, absolutely a live vocal. And the thing is, we can get the crowd shot footage, which of course is going to be exactly the same when we look at it. And what I'm going to do is, I could probably match these up a little bit better, but It is the same vocal. Obviously, it's going to be recorded from a different part of the stadium, but as I move things down, you might be able to see when I move them up, you get this kind of replication happening. We've got to account for ambient noise as well, but just the fact that these points and these points are perfectly over the top of each other when we get to pitch. There are lots of points here that give away that it's exactly the same audio file. But when I say audio file, I mean it is recorded on the night. It's not that they're using the same audio file. So this repeat that we get, we know that these are two separate people in the same place recording the same audio. Now, when we get over to what looks like, as you can see in the background, it looks like professionally shot footage for either TV or a video that they might be doing for their YouTube channel. I don't know, but we will have a listen to this now.
What it is that makes me feel alive. I don't know how to wait for things that sleep inside. I only want to see the light that shines behind your eyes.
Right, so now what we can do is bring on the footage from the audience, and I'm just having a look here because, I mean, this all looks pretty similar. Flat here, and we ascended up, flat here, ascended up, and this is the kind of more professionally shot footage. Right, and again, because Liam was so accurate live, I don't think they've had to really do much to this at all. So, let me just take it back a little bit more. So yeah, I mean these lines you can see slightly sharp here, on the line here, but he was really accurate, so you wouldn't have to change anything. And let me just skip this forward a little bit. And okay, right, so now we have our first disparity in pitch. So we have the G4 here, which is absolutely on the line in this more official looking video, and audio. The audio from this is absolutely pristine, so it's got to be coming from the desk of the event. So here you'll see how we go up and then we maintain sharp, then we come down, and here it's been stuck to this line. But again, this is something that we come to realize and appreciate with these performances, that they are pitch correcting everything. Like even a note like this that is so ridiculously sharp by a tiny amount that you don't even notice when you're listening to it, they're still moving these notes. But Joe Public can't hear the difference between these two. So it, in my opinion, it has gone crazy because they're looking at vocals now rather than listening to them. And the only way that you'd know that this was off would be by looking at it. So they've looked at it and they've moved it down to the line. So another thing, I'm just trying to see here. Now, this note here is pretty much on the line and then goes a little bit sharp. Here it maintains sharp the whole time. Here it was on the line. This one was sharp. So all of these tiny adjustments that are happening, this part here is now a lot tighter. So just to give a slightly clearer representation, I'm going to flip from this official footage and then to the crowd shot footage. And again, ambient noise means that we didn't pick up on this A4 here, but you can see how here on the line, here above the line. So here edited, here not edited. Here edited, here ever so slightly higher. Like I said, it's gone crazy as to the amount that they're editing things. But here, I mean, this is more obvious. When we come up here, we are clearly sharp and we're now down to this line. And here again, you know, quite wild, actually, with the crowd shot footage. I say quite wild. This isn't bad at all. It's just that it's been squashed down. And you can start to see how when you're looking at a live vocal, you get a lot more variation in pitch, and sometimes the vibrato is edited out in Melodyne. It's squashed down to then make the note more accurate. So, you know, that kind of thing is going on here. This is a lot more calibrated and conforming to A440, which is these lines, than the live performance. So because we've only got a small amount of this official looking and sounding footage, it means that we don't have too much more to go. But it is interesting in that when you are listening to the crowd shot footage, that's all fully live. It's not auto-tuned or anything like that. But then as soon as we go to something that looks more official and might have been recorded to release in the future in an official capacity with the band or an event, we get this pitch correction that's been applied to it. So for the people that are wondering what's going on, if you go to watch Oasis live, you are going to get live vocals, and they're not going to be miming, they're not lip syncing, they're not going to be using auto tune or anything like that. But then when people watch it back, if it looks professionally shot, then it's more than likely going to be pitch corrected. So you're not going to hear how good the band were live, because this is what's crazy, is that Oasis live are so accurate vocally on this evidence of the crowd shot footage, but they're still being pitch corrected. So if they had to say exactly what was going on, you'd say, right, is this audio what happened on the night? They'd have to say, well, no, it has been edited, it's been changed, but on the night we were really good, we were really accurate, but that got removed. And then people will say, yeah, but how do we know that you were really accurate on the night if all we're hearing is pitch correction? And I know it's a valid argument, but this is why we look at the crowd shot footage to see exactly what was going on live. But yeah, it's amazing how, I mean, we will listen on to this a little bit further. So let's now get rid of that, bring on this, and oh, here we go. So this is the pitch corrected version, and now clearly sharp. You can see how the G4 moves up. That's where it was live. But again, I mean, live went a little bit higher here. That's just been kind of chopped off. But again, we've got to account for ambient noise with the crowd shot footage. But I mean, it is interesting to see that they have moved some lines and then left other lines like this where it was. I mean, this is so accurate anyway, you don't have to move it. So just moving this forward. Let's have a listen. Aha, here we go. So if I remember correctly, yeah, this is where we drifted quite flat. And when I say quite flat, we're almost to the note below. And here we have been absolutely manipulated and stuck on that C4. So yeah, that's about as clear as you can get it. Look at the way that we're just coming down to the B3. We're pretty much between notes, if anything closer to the B3 than the C4 in the stadium, in the live performance. So yeah, there are tiny details here that show you that it has been pitch corrected. But I mean, my argument is, and would be, that it doesn't need to be pitch corrected. Why can't we just release this in a professional capacity and say that's what the vocal was live? That's what people paid their money to hear, because it's their genuine voices and genuine artistry. So there we have it. Thank you guys for watching this vocal analysis video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys at the next one.